anonymous game designers club.
You could say, as I did, that the interface is so bad it's actually good.
Dima's polite, but I'm rude on the contrary. The world of games is indeed cruel and very harsh, and you need to learn how to be tough. You're a very good indie developer, but you're still a poor analyst, indeed. If you definitely make it for everyone here, then over here you'll retain more users.
Hi everyone! What I wanted to go over is probably to highlight the positives I noticed. First of all, the game has a variety of items and bundles, and they're tailored to different audiences. From what I can tell, and as I suspected, the target audience is likely teenagers or kids, and I like that the game has items that cost literally 50 hryvnia. It's important to understand that the kids who play this game, the purchases are made by the parents, and when parents see an item for 50 hryvnia, they tend to be more accepting of it, certainly, because for a parent, it's like they're buying themselves some free time. Up to 50 hryvnia is quite a reasonable price, but there are also items that cost significantly more. So with this wide price range, we're able to cover several different user groups. Yes, from kids to some older people who can buy for themselves and can afford to purchase a large bundle, which I didn't fully understand at first, so the currency system is actually really cool. There's a lot of different meta. There are battle passes, crafting, chests on a timer, chests for additional currency, and cases. There's a ton of stuff. But one downside comes out of this. We have both hard and soft currency, and it's not entirely clear. Some keys appear, and then there are these bolts. You don't really understand where to get them from, what exactly they're used for, or what's the best way to spend them.
Well, the bolts, that's Stalker 2, bolts.
The question is where to get them from, because the bolts, I got some from a chest. It would be nice to see either a more gradual introduction of the currency, or at least for the player to understand where the currency comes from, what kind it is, and where it can be spent. The tutorial, I couldn't find it when I entered the game, so I immediately started looking for game modes, and I couldn't find them right away because they weren't noticeable. The first thing I did, first of all, was go into the game and open the campaign. The story mode is called something not multiplayer, because the multiplayer button didn't catch my attention. It was a bit bigger, but somehow I decided to just go into another mode. I spent a long time trying to figure things out. I didn't understand at first. They give you this gun right away, the one you can use to move objects, and at first, I didn't get how it worked. I spent a long time pressing different keys, trying to figure it out on my own, and this is the moment where I think if we don't want to forcefully guide the player into the tutorial from the start, if we want to give the player the freedom to choose between the tutorial or another mode, then we could simply show the tutorial the first time the player enters the game. For example, we could replace the multiplayer button with the tutorial button, make it the central one, and after the tutorial is completed, we remove it and put the multiplayer button there instead. But at the same time, we shouldn't hide the multiplayer option on the first launch either. Just leave it somewhere off to the side. That way, a player who, for example, has played before, maybe it's a returning player, won't have to go through the tutorial if they don't need it. For them, it could actually be an extra point of frustration.
Where was the tutorial button? I mean, if it was definitely hidden somewhere in the bottom right corner under something, then you just wouldn't find it. On the first launch, it starts auto. I just removed that in the latest update.
I tried to do something in between. Not an automatic launch, not hidden in the settings. So, bring it out somewhere on the main screen and leave it there, for example, for future sessions. Somewhere off to the side so that it's just barely noticeable. But for the first session, you could try making it central, for example, as you engage in the game. Game modes, lots of different weapons, and the weapons also have different functionalities. There's a cannon, there's a weapon. I feel very comfortable shooting. Why? Because on the left side we have the joystick, and the right side of the screen is responsible for camera rotation and the fire button, which is located in the bottom right corner. It's great that you can simply tap it and then drag your finger across the screen to move the aim. But at the same time, because it's down there right on the bottom right, you can't immediately drag it down or to the right, your finger hits the edge of the screen. Maybe it's literally worth considering that. Make the shooting point activate by tapping on the screen. So instead of having a small button somewhere, you tap on the right side of the screen, and instead of just moving the camera, you also start shooting at the same time, and the button follows your finger and is large. First of all, you'll have more space to move, and shooting will just be more convenient. I really like the gun's functionality, but it took me long to figure it out, and then it turned out I went into the tutorial and realized I hadn't actually figured it out yet. After the tutorial, I understood how to use it. I'll probably also say a few words about the campaign. Maybe I'm not exactly the target audience for this project, I suppose. I did really like how those puzzle rooms were implemented, in particular, quite well. and I'm not sure if that's how it was intended. But it seemed to me that, in my opinion, there are alternative ways to solve different assignments. So for example, there's a grate, a pipe that you need to get through, and it's blocked, for instance. I was trying to figure out how to remove it. It was hard to figure out, but I started digging into the functionality, realized that I could blow it up with a grenade, and I think I even managed to move it with a crate somehow. I don't know if that was intentional or just some kind of bug, but then in the next room where you had to get a crate from above, I also tried different ways to do it. In the end, I knocked it down with a grenade too. I suspect there were perhaps other possible ways to solve that puzzle as well. It's cool that there's that kind of flexibility if it was intentional, but figuring some of these things out is really hard. Maybe it's perhaps worth using some kind of light cues to guide the player. To show the path to certain objects, such as what to interact with, what to pick up. And first of all, the player needs to be taught how to solve these puzzles, and only then gradually make them more difficult. Because I had the feeling that they started getting harder quickly, and I still hadn't figured out how to play the game.
Hi everyone, and a lot has already been said. Truly. Indeed, I could repeat much of it, and I agree with what's been said. I can add a little more. The tutorial, yes, I found it. Unfortunately, I couldn't get through it. I didn't have the energy. Basically, the button to open all these locks is indeed on the left, right? Yeah, I have a camera right here, and I literally didn't even see that button. The likelihood of completing this tutorial, well, I think it's very low. This screenshot here, when the player simply moves through, in this location, your hand is on the screen and your finger covers that part of the display. The chance of even seeing it is also very low, so it definitely needs to be reworked. Generally speaking, many aspects of the UI and UX are made overly complicated. That is the grasp of the player to face the fact that even with us, there are projects. This is intended and designed to be an experimental environment, but in essence, it's not entirely clear in its design. Now, this gameplay element, on the positive side, indeed, there's a lot of content. But basically, to build something, you really have to struggle. It might be a bug, but it's not intuitive how to do any of it. I ran into the issue that I couldn't get through it. Neither the tutorial nor any other stage helped. This project definitely has room to grow, and all the points the guys mentioned will definitely add to it. Here, there's definitely potential to further increase player engagement and playtime, and to retain a larger audience.
I'm looking at the ads, and what really caught my eye, in a bad way, was the advertising. When I launched the game for the first time, I ended up playing a playable ad for Whiteout Survival or something, instead of the actual game. And obviously that's not right. Give the player the first 3-5 minutes without ads. Let them definitely get a feel for your gameplay first. Players who see that, around approximately 15-20%, maybe even 10%, they'll just drop off at that first interstitial ad and they won't come back to the game.
Hi everyone, I'm Dimitri, a game designer.
Sounds like a support group for anonymous game designers.
On the main screen, we have 3 separate panels all essentially doing the same thing, selling packs. In my personal opinion, this in fact clutters the screen, and all of it could be combined into a single block, like a slider that scrolls through and shows various bundles, such as different bundles they can sell. We will have less visual noise on the screen.
If there's animation, if I indeed understand correctly, it will attract more people. And it's more likely to lead to sales.
Next point. I saw in the settings that there are a lot of links to social media, and it's great that they're there. But for some reason on the main screen, there's only a link to YouTube. It would be nice if perhaps the YouTube icon could be exchanged out for other social media icons. So then you might potentially be able to attract a more substantial audience, because people will see the social network they actually use. For example, I'm a Twitter user, for instance. I don't see Twitter here, but I do see it in the mini settings. I definitely think all of that should be moved to the main screen. Just let it simply rotate, swipe through one after another. Now let's move on to the gameplay. I went through the tutorial. I've understood all the rules. I figured out how to control the cannon, how to craft items, how to shoot weapons. I got everything. I understood all the buttons. So I think, Igor, you really should definitely bring the tutorial back. It's a really great feature. It helped me get into the gameplay very quickly, the process, so bring the tutorial back. Now, let us talk about the exciting adventure related to the very first level puzzle. Unfortunately, I didn't complete that part at all, because the puzzle in that section turned out to be very unintuitive. Like the cube itself falls through the wall, but I can't go through the wall myself. Like, I honestly never figured out how to solve that puzzle.
Actually, indeed, you would be able to turn this adventure into something else. A pretty decent, solid tutorial specifically for the gun. So we guide the player through different rooms, and in each room we teach them one specific way, such as to interact with or control the gun. So at first we teach them to pick it up and then to insert it, and then we can teach them to throw it and then to rotate it, for instance, for example, right? And the best way to do that is with some kind of helper hand that simply shows you what you need to do. Like you pick up the cube and a hand appears pointing the way. Now you see you can throw it. The player throws the cube and now he knows how to do it. We've taught him and now he can solve this puzzle.
So I'll actually talk about the sandbox itself. The sandbox is really great. I really liked it. The toolkit is very massive. Do whatever you want, however you want. If I were the target audience, I'd probably even spend hours in it. I really like everything. And it's just awesome. But here's the thing. I actually tried to build a racetrack, and unfortunately I never finished building that racetrack because it wasn't entirely clear or obvious to me whether all my parts were seamlessly snapping together without any gaps or not, ensuring everything fits. And at that very moment, suddenly a vivid image popped into my head of what kind of tool set would help me solve this problem. It's like there are a few other types of perspectives missing.
There's a clone button that easily and smoothly extends the road evenly at any angle or direction with precision as needed.
Exactly. I just didn't see that tool. Maybe I just missed it.
You need to use the one on the left.
Igor, you see, every action in the game has to be explained to you. So the takeaway should be to design it in a way that doesn't require explanation. And this is, let's say, the ultimate kung fu art.
This idea that Sasha is talking about now runs like a red thread throughout our entire call today. Entirely. That there should definitely be a good tutorial and you need to guide the player from the moment they enter, to the point where they start enjoying the game and explain every action to them step by step.
There's a second option. Actually, in fact, it appears as though there are really just two possible options. The first option. We create something super intuitive, easy to understand with tutorials and demonstrations. But there's option number two. You know, in its rawest form, the raw stuff and all its messiness, the cringe moments, it might actually create a sense of... By the way, I'm pretty sure that's largely why the playtime is what it is. I mean, if we made everything super intuitive, like press this button to shoot, press that button to do something else, playtime drops a lot.
I wanted to ask Igor something. Igor, could you please, for the sake of all of us sleeping peacefully, especially me, add a metric to the game that tracks when a user builds, say, 10 or 20 structures for the love of all that is good? And please send us the percentage of users who actually do that. It's just that
Don't listen to Zhenya. We really wouldn't want him to sleep peacefully. That's literally the only reason.
Thanks, Sasha. I knew you appreciated me. I just really want to know what the drop-off rate is. Like, what percentage of players actually get to the point where they start fully engaging with the game?
Somewhere between 14 and 75, that's my guess.
Intuitively, it feels like it's very low. People who really start getting into it, there's a sense that if you increase that number, and it's actually pretty easy to do by making a proper tutorial, then your game will definitely really take off much more than it is now.
Shall I wrap up? So first of all, I want to thank everyone who came for the review. A special thanks goes to Evgeny. Evgeny, thank you for coming. You really shared super cool insights. Igoryan. My recommendations. I apologize for saying Igoryan instead of Igor for informality. Dima is polite, but I am rude. My recommendation is as follows. I suggest you get in touch with Dima on Telegram. We'll definitely ask Dima to put together a list of events you need to cover. Your app should be appropriately integrated based on that list. First, second, I see that you're indeed a good indie developer, but you're still a poor analyst. Not very good, I would say. And in that regard, we'll help you. I really recommend that you definitely spend considerably more time studying and working with analytics, installing some SDKs, and so on. Evgeny mentioned a metric, and he clearly saw the free version of Amplitude, which allows up to 100,000 events per month. He just went ahead and set it up. So your main task right now, as I see it, is to reach a new level. A new level for you, as I see it, is transforming from an indie into someone who thinks about events, thinks about money, and thinks about business. Right now, you and I are in this kind of atmosphere of love and kindness, but the world of games, it's harsh and very unforgiving. And you need to learn how to be tough. And understanding analytics will teach you how to be tough. When you clearly understand what is responsible for what. Gives you a positive result, gives you a negative one, remote configs, advertising configs, how to integrate them, how to analyze all these A/B tests. That's when you'll become tough and, as Evgeny correctly said, more successful. Tough and rich.
I'm tough but not successful.
Well, I only recently started working with analytics. I learned about all this about a year ago. Before that, I was just updating the game, adding content, and simply working on the game itself.
Thank you, Igor. Well, actually, the project is promising. It's an excellent project, and it's certainly possible to scale up and further broaden it. This project truly has enormous potential for growth and development, offering a wide array of opportunities. Please watch our reviews. Bye-bye.